Okay, um, in this video I want to show off a reporting user interface that I built using React and SQL to help find trends in discretionary spending in my own Mint transactions. The GitHub link for the code is below. You can download it and run it locally using a local MySQL instance. So first I want to take a look at what happens, or what you can do in Mint. This is in the trends area. I've got spending by category that shows this pie chart of all spending across all categories. I can select a particular category and restrict the report to that. I can select from a number of accounts that I have which ones I want to cover here, and I can pick a time range. So let's pick this month. So it's April, so taxes are big. This is largely a mortgage. Health and fitness is largely healthcare. Let's drop into shopping. We now have a pie chart that only covers shopping, which consists of two things, shopping and clothing. Let's take a look at the transactions in clothing. So it seems like there's a lot here. Is this a special case? Do we have a trend? What's going on? Is there something to worry about? Is it something we can control in some way? Let's now, so this is this month. If I go back to last month, I see that clothing is small, a small percentage. So let's take a quick look at how clothing works out over time. We've now got everything. All right, if I pick clothing, I see, and let's go to all time. And now we see a bunch of bars that pop way up high. These tend to be in December, October, well, close. December, and December. So Christmas time is the time we spend a lot of money on clothing. That makes sense. There's a big bar in this month. Well, it's my daughter's birthday this month. So we now have some insight into clothing as a category, but the criticism I have of this is it doesn't do something that, well, it doesn't even try to do, which is separate out my discretionary spending from my mandatory spending. So right here I've got this mortgage, taxes, everything else. Actually, if I looked at this month, I was getting taxes up here. There's taxes, mortgage, etc. are all covered, and the discretionary spending is sort of lost in here, hard to see. All right, so let's take a look at the new interface, or the new improved interface for this. All right, so first we see that the pie here is limited only to discretionary spending categories. How did that happen? Well, we removed these, the ones that are boring, the ones that have to do with loans and taxes and, well, income as well. So everything that's kind of difficult to change. You have to change a job or move someplace to get move to another location to get something, a change in this. I'm really interested in this analysis on things that are under my immediate control, that are sort of the result of behavior that we could possibly change. So we're looking right now at shopping. It was selected. Let me switch to clothing. So here's that bunch of clothing that we have in this month, in April. Go back. There's a tiny slice here. Tiny slice in February. January it's small too. And in December, again, it gets big. So we see the same sort of a trend, but now I've got again, an ability to go back further and follow again. Yes, there's more spending in the autumn of 2007. It drops to nothing in July. Summer is going on. There's a little chunk during summer. And we go back further to March. There's a chunk in February, not much. And January, nothing counted in clothing. Go back one more month and we get the clothing expenditure in December. So let me show what the idea here is. For one thing, this is just discretionary spending. And these are just the base categories, even down to the lowest level. what we're showing here is the actual transactions right at once. So you don't have to do this extra click, and it doesn't show up in a pop-up, so you haven't lost your context. There's no special effort made to get the detail. The detail is just there. The other thing is this bar in the middle. So the problem with a pie chart is that it hides a certain information, which is the size of the pie. Let's go back to, I'll click out here and go to our current day. Let me show you an example of the sort of problem that happens. Okay, look at the grocery expenditure here in January, and let's compare it to what was in December. So the month before in December, there was a larger expenditure of groceries, but it shows up as smaller in the pie chart. Let's go back to January. Pie chart shows 18% in January, although there's less expense in groceries. Well, it's because the overall pie is larger in December. December, there's a lot of expense, so a greater amount of groceries counts as a smaller percentage over here. So I need some indication of what the total size is that's independent of percentages, and that's what this middle bar is doing. So if we browse through, then the size of that bar indicates how much actual spending is occurring. And I like both of them because it's nice to see the display inside a pie chart. It does give you percentages, but this is necessary to compare and see what the actual absolute values are. The other thing, or the last thing to mention, is something about time ranges. So in the previous Mint demo, we saw that it was the changing of a time was a drop down, and you had to actually select a special time if you wanted to go back more than 1 month. This now is organized by month, which seems like a kind of natural unit. And the keyboard is connected in, so you can use arrow keys to move around. If I go back using the left arrow key, I go back through months of spending. I can see what's going on. Go back to where we are now. And the vertical, up and down, go to previous and next categories. So I can go through all of my stuff this way. So this lets me look at discretionary spending. I'm going through about 11,000 transactions this way, and I can pretty quickly zoom through and browse everything by just arrow keys. So that's about what I wanted to show. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.